See if there's any others out there.
Oh, I'm gonna drag a few more. Hear
Well,
that? The food will bring them in always, right?
the food usually always brings realtors in, huh? I would like to think that maybe it had a little bit to do with me, but I'll give it for the food. If we had cocktails, then it would really be why realtors come, right? I will just introduce myself quickly, and then I really want to get into what is most important to you. But I believe Amber told me I'm not supposed to talk yet. So hi, Amber.
Hello, darling. I just wanted to thank you so much for coming to join us and let everyone, I know we have about 10 people or more online, more people are joining us, and to everyone in the room, you are in for an absolute treat with Miss Tara today. She is all things referral, all things real estate agent. She has a ton of energy. She hasn't announced it to the world yet. She's a future bold coach, so I'll go ahead and put that out in the universe. And she is a mega agent, has built an MREA team, and she is an absolute joy. Another thing, success leaves clues. She is always in a bold room. So that's where I've had the pleasure of meeting her, and you guys are just in for a treat. Take lots of notes. We love you, Tara, and appreciate you so much for coming to visit us.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
I should probably change this 9-time bold graduate. I actually just graduated my 10th bold in Cocoa Beach. That was a 350-mile drive for me once a week for 7 weeks. Why do I do that? Well, Gary says that you should go to school up until you go to school for 12 years, then you go to college for 4 more. So why don't we do that in our lives with the trainings and whatnot? So my goal is to also do that with career visioning. And I'm always a different person every time I come out of bold. So who here's been to bold? Okay, if you haven't, put it on your calendar and do yourself a favor and make the trip somewhere else. Do you know how much my income is for what I'm projected to make in the next 2 months from being in that bold room? So $800 to pay for it, 350-mile hike. I did miss a few this time with red day, so that's okay. And if I made at least $30,000 in income, would you say it's worth it? Times 10, right? So I encourage you guys to go out of your market and take bold because it can make a big difference in your income. I'm also KWYP, former president and co-president. However, I am now your South Florida regional ambassador for all of South Florida. And that I'm super excited about that we're just starting. And who here has read 7 Levels of Communication? Oh, I have one hand. Are you kidding me? Write that down. 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer. That is an absolute must. That is where all the foundations of my business is built on. So it's built on the Red Book, MREA, and 7 Levels of Communication. So what is funny about that book is I essentially had got into the business and was trying to figure things out. And I went to a book club and it was 7 Levels of Communication. And my mentor invited me and said, you have to come. And what the story is about, the book, it's about a really tired realtor who is just, he has this guy in his office that's just dominating, taking over. And the mortgage lender teaches him how to grow a business based on referrals and not spending any money. There's 186 systems in the book. And this is a book that it's funny because I went to the book club, then took group coaching with Michael. Then I did one-on-one coaching, and now I am a coach for him on how to build your business based on 7 levels of communication, how to turn the relationships that you already currently have into referrals. I'm pretty and then 3rd generation realtor. I really don't want to go into all that. My family and I've been selling in the South Florida area. It's so easy to just drive across Alligator Alley. Although I have a heavy foot and I know there's always cops. So I did the cruise control today, that is for sure. Before we kind of get started, because I've taught this class in multiple cities, Cleveland, a bunch of cities, I can't even think of them all. I want to make sure that this is valuable for you. And this isn't just me spitting out information at you. So I encourage participation and I encourage you to be vulnerable because let's be honest, vulnerability is sexy. So be vulnerable. What is an area in your business that is struggling and or that's not as much as a positive word is room for improvement or is an opportunity that you haven't mastered yet? Is it just for referrals? Is it tapping into luxury? Is it making just you're brand new and don't know exactly how to even get started? Is it too many things? Like, hit me. What do you want to get out of today when it is talked about your business and the relationship you have around referrals?
Well, I'm brand new, and I have a huge warm market. A lot of them don't live here in Florida, and so learning how to reach out to everybody that I know and letting them know that I've changed careers after my entire life, how to do it and get business from it, and not just make it a general conversation like, oh, I'm a real estate agent now. I'm like, oh, good for you. Okay, well, bye. You know, how do I turn that into leads?
Okay. And you're talking about your past people from where you lived before.
Just where I lived before and everybody that I know throughout the whole United States. Most of them are not down here in Florida anymore.
Okay. What else?
I can piggyback off of what she said, because I came from a completely different field as well. I'm having conversations about real estate, but converting them has been my biggest difficulty at this point.
It's just a room for improvement. What else?
Building my database in general.
Okay. And anybody on Zoom, so they can share that with me. We have a building database. What else? I just hosted a Twilight open house on Friday and Saturday. And it's interesting because whenever we get an opportunity, we should always be looking a few steps ahead. So when I went to this listing appointment, which by the way, I sold this house to this guy for $500 2 years ago. I've never even seen it until the listing appointment. And I get there and I see this guy across the street and he has like this compound. Cars everywhere. He took over more of a lot from the city next door. And I was like, who's that? And he was like, oh, he owns like 6 houses in the neighborhood, including the one next door. I think he's getting bored. I think he's thinking about selling. Light bulb. So I purposely planned and spent $3,000 upfront in marketing costs and planned to throw in an extravagant open house to get that guy's attention. Not only did I get 2 out of his 6 listings, I got 3 more listing appointments in the last 48 hours and I already went on all of them. Would you say that it was worth it? And we're not even under contract on that house yet, but I will be hopefully by the time I get out of this class. So I just, from that one opportunity, and my team was looking at me and they're like, Tara, I can't believe you're already spending $3,000 like right up front. And yeah, I'm looking at about 5 million in revenue just from that. So always looking one step ahead when you get listings from your database, what's next? Like, what's the end goal after that? That was a little rabbit hole I just went on, although that's what made me spark it, because I think we've gotten used to the market that we were in and getting spoiled, and it's changing very fast. So it's like we have to pivot our actions and go back to kind of the basics. What else is room for improvement?
That's one thing that I'm encountering a lot lately. People coming into Florida, they are coming in with the attitude that $400,000 is going to be a great house, and just managing that expectation, I think, would be important. I've got maybe 5 or 6 of those on the back burner right now. Just managing that expectations of new for you. Would you say that, Michelle?
Yeah, for sure. Also, like just keeping in touch with people, right? I think we all follow up for a certain amount of time and then it kind of falls off.
Okay, was there any on Zoom? I guess I can see that. Okay, perfect. Oops. I'll put those right in this baby little corner. This will be the only time I probably ask you to take out your phones. If you are on Instagram, will you go ahead and follow Miss Tara Carter, MS Tara Carter, MS, because I am not married yet. And looking, so if there's anybody that you know that I should know, please let me know.
What about the guys without the balls?
Because I mean, I'd rather take a referral than go on a dating app, right? I'm just throwing that out there. And then I will make sure to follow you guys back, because you will see that I live and breathe my brand. So we could have gone one of two ways. We could go a little bit into your branding identity, because I'm curious to know how many here say that they have a brand. Okay, we're definitely going there then. How many people have heard me speak before? So Stephanie and Mom. Okay. All right, perfect. When we talk about branding identity, if you are very strategic about it, you can eventually be able to sell houses off of just your brand, right? And I literally sell houses off of flamingos, and it's been pretty flocking fabulous. And the way that it started was when my family originally, because my family had been in business a long time, and most will say, oh, she's successful because she gets the business just from her family. No, we did 30 million last year and I did 15 of that. I'm always pretty much half of the entire team itself by myself. And so when I got with the team, they had their old logos, and then I came in and kind of wanted to transform it a little bit to be a little bit more modern. And it's always that typical like house and palm tree and waves and all of that. And we think that maybe people will see that and they'll be like, oh, they're going to know that it's your logo and they're going to know that it's you, right? It doesn't work like that. So I hosted an event called Puppy Pop-Up that I do every year before COVID. That is on my birthday. My goal is to get 10 dogs adopted on site. And I always wore pink with my brand. I always had pink nails. My business cards were pink. Everything I did was pink. And then I did this event open to the public, and someone walked up to me and said, oh, you must be Tara. I said, how did you know? They said, you're wearing pink. I was like, oh, it's working, right? Because I was living and breathing pink, always had it on. And so I was like, oh, what is pink? And then we went down a rabbit hole and I learned about flamingos. And I said, I didn't want to do flamingos because flamingos are cheap. Like they're the things that are outside the RVs or trailer homes, and they're plastic. And it's also the Florida lottery symbol. I'm not really sure. Like, we're not doing that. Then I look up the meaning of flamingos. Flamingos symbolize elegance and beauty, and they're also the bird that is the most social and family oriented, a bird that lives the longest in its category of birds. That spoke to my soul. Would you say that that's a pretty good meaning for what they symbolize and mean? Could you find something, and I'm not saying it has to be an animal. It could be anything. What does your brand say currently about you? What do you do consistently that people remember who you are based on what you portray? If you're a guy that loves beers and wings or playing pool or darts, whatever it is, then you use that for your brand. Then you should be hanging out at that spot, those spots. I see a lot of like the pineapples. If it's upside down, that stands for something else. So just be mindful of that. So I want you to start thinking about kind of what is your branding identity and what's the best way to make it about you. Is it just a color scheme? Go down deeper. What does something mean that one catches your eye and two is you? So you have your business name, and we should have a slogan at least. You have to choose your vibe. This is how you start with building your brand. Choosing your vibe, which is going to be like your fonts and your colors. I personally don't believe in designing your own logo. If you want to do a consultation, I'm more than happy to do a branding consultation with you. It's probably one of my favorite things to do is marketing. Prior to real estate, I was a marketing director and manager for a high-end nightclub and restaurant business on Los Olas for 10 years, and probably one of my favorite things. And then I could throw in my degree in early childhood, being a preschool teacher for so long. So I think that's where the creativity part came from. So the way that my personal suggestion is always going to Pinterest has always been my go-to. It's like fantasy football for women. However, men can use it too. So from Pinterest, I started to create like a vibe of what my vibe was. I've called a branding board. This is, again, something I can do with you, and or you can hire an independent contractor that specializes in this, and you do a branding consultation You create a vision board around the brand that you want to portray, and it could just be colors for all you care. It could be a muffin if you really like muffins. It sounds really stupid, but and it depends on what you're looking for. What are you looking for somebody to think, see, and think of you for real estate?
Yeah, so I didn't raise our hand, but I guess we are actually, so we've always had our meeting course, which, as you probably know.
Oh, yeah.
So we started to incorporate him, and we actually just got a new logo for that has horseshoe in it. So we're trying to work with this. I know from knowing you, I'm like, we have to do what Tara does. And everyone that sees Swifty, they freak out. It's like, all right, let's keep moving forward with this. So
I love it. And that's when you have to run with it. And does the mini horse symbolize anything? No, it's something that they had that was in their lives that now they're incorporating into a horseshoe that other people will see the horseshoe, think of Thrifty, or see a mini horse, think of them. And what do they think of them? What do they know that they do? That's a great example. And I have noticed that, by the way, and I love it. I'm all for it. So it's knowing who your target audience is. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that want to break into luxury, if I had to guess. Nobody here wants to break into luxury? Okay. I figured we're in Naples. So yeah, for the most part, most of it is luxury. So it depends. Like, what do you need to create two separate brands for one for luxury and one for everybody else? I've always struggled with that, so I'm not the best person to ask. I just believe if it's one consistent brand, it'd be hard enough to manage two different brands. If you're on a Jeff Glover standard or Greg Ehringler, then I would say yes, you can have two different brands. And that's not the case, which is okay. Being consistent throughout it, like I even wear a uniform for the last 4 years. I only wear black, pink, or white, or maybe all three. The reason being is it's actually cheaper for me to go shopping. I only go in certain sections, and it's been easier to get ready as well. So it saves me time and energy and money. Because it's what am I wearing today? Black and black, or white, or a little pink. So it's being consistent in regards to what your branding is. You have your branding identity. That would be the second page that's in your workbook. And I want you to think about, who are your favorite past clients? If we haven't sold anything, who would be your favorite people that you would want to work with? Think about who are the 3 people that you've truly, truly enjoyed working with, and write them down. If I had to guess, there's probably going to be a similar thing about all 3 of them. Maybe their job, their personality, a characteristic that they all have. There may be something very similar about them. These are things that may help you discover which direction you should go in when it comes to building your brand. Think about your top 3 biggest competitors. Write those people down. Yes, I know that our only competition is ourselves, or Nordstrom's, or Disney, or Ritz-Carlton brand. However, there are other people that you may look up to or see their stuff and say, man, I wish I was doing that. Who are those 3 people? What do they have in common that is consistent with them and or their brand? We have a group in Coral Springs, and I have a great relationship with him, and his branding is so awesome. He makes me look like very small when it comes to branding. Everybody has a blue car that, I mean, every single agent that works for him has a blue car that he wraps and pays for with the branding everywhere. So you pull up to like one of the listings, or it's this open house, and it's like 8 blue cars. And it's just, you see them go around town, and all the kids even get excited. Like it's like a Disney character that's in town, and they think it's just cool. It is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Blue, it'd be Blue Realty, not Keller Williams. Blue Realty. I've always wanted to wrap my car in pink. However, I have a really heavy foot, and I would get a lot of tickets. So I've decided not to, at least for now. And then the next one was 3 words to describe you. What are 3 personality traits about you that you like about yourself? Are you sweet? Are you caring? Are you energetic? Are you outgoing? Are you patient? Are you a mother? Are you a grandmother? If I were to ask somebody who knows you well, what would they say to describe you? What would they say about you? We just did this exercise in Bold actually last week, and it was writing down your strengths, writing down the things that you're good at. And sometimes it's hard to write about yourself. And that's something that's good to look at when you're not feeling so great those days. You can just open it up and be like, I am smart. I am a leader. I am energetic. I am passionate, you know, and it's helpful. It's called building a bunker. And what are your top 3 favorite things to do? And if you put just selling real estate, I challenge you to think outside the box. What do you love to do? Like, I love to play pool because I can pretty much beat anyone. And I challenge you to challenge me. I love reading. I read anywhere from 50 to 70 books a year. And I pick them out in advance based on topic stacks, FYI. Great suggestion. Topic stacks is where I pick 3 months in advance of what topic I'm going to be focusing on. Right now we are because I'm doing MRA book club. So that's been going back to the basics. If it's going to be marketing, then you're only going to read everything around marketing that month. And you're only going to be listening to podcasts around marketing, only be reading articles around marketing that month. If it's money, if it's accountability, if it's leadership, if it's negotiations, whatever it is, you stack the topic on top of each other consistently. That's been something so helpful for me. Instead of being like a squirrel and I want to do this and I want to read this and I want to go over here and I want to do this. Highly suggest it. And the way that we get that from and understand that I'm not expecting you to do everything that we're going to go over. The way that it looks is you guys have heard of E2P, going from entrepreneurial to purposeful. My easiest way to explain this is imagine you have a shelf. And how many have been in the business for less than a year? Okay. And how many have been in for less than 5 years? Okay. Regardless of where you are in your business, when you're less than 5 or more than 5, there's still so many fascinating things to learn, wouldn't you say? I don't say overwhelming because it's negative. That's out of my vocabulary. I don't use the O word. It is fascinating how many things we need to learn and we need to do in order to run an effective business and a profitable business and continue to scale and grow with the challenges that come our way. Wouldn't you agree? So the E2P rule is my favorite. Let's say today, the biggest thing you get out of it is like, wow, I don't have a brand. Then that's something, this is going to be a brand. Then you're going to have to go and rebrand all your stuff and your marketing materials. That's going to be something else. If you're focused on just what your conversations are for your database, that's going to be mastering scripts around that conversation. If it's going to be building your website, I could go on and on. How many classes do I need to take? I need to go to Ignite. I need to learn how to do all my different touches and set up my smart campaigns. If you're using Command, whatever you're using, I don't care. So if you look at it, this shelf, how to go from E to P, how to go from being entrepreneurial to being purposeful. Take one thing off of the shelf, focus on it for 30 days, and then put it back on the shelf. I wish I would have done that in the beginning faster instead of trying to do everything at once. It's like a squirrel's everywhere. And then what happens is, and tell me, I might be the only one this has happened to, tell me you haven't started a project and didn't finish it. Or you went to a conference or you went to a class or training and you said, wow, that was such great information. And I'm going to do that. And then you start it and you get so excited and then you never finished it. Am I the only one? Okay, I didn't think so. So mastering the E to P has probably been one of the most helpful things for for me to get more organized. So I encourage you to just take one thing. And if you go to any other conferences or Bold, always take 3 takeaways only. And what is the one thing you're going to implement right away? And that's the only thing you focus on. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't know what that means. The room view is muted. So maybe I stop the screen share so you guys can see both. Or just call the people up front and then you can use both. Or they can come in here and tell me what to do. No, I don't know. Oh, got it. So if I did this, then they can? No, they still can't. They want presentation up. You got it. Okay. So the pyramid that I have here is going to be from 7 levels of communication. This is how I've, again, structured my business based on the MREA, the Bible, the Red Book, whatever you want to call it, and this communication pattern. It's the communication pyramid, let's be real. You have an informational zone and you have an influential zone. For example, if you saw the advertising for this class, right? And you said, maybe I'll go. Did you get any direct mail in your inbox? If I sent you something in your inbox, would you come still? Possibly. If I sent you just an email, then would you come? Maybe, probably. Like, yeah, maybe it's something I should go to. Well, if I sent you a personal handwritten note and invited you to come to this event, would you be more likely to come? And then what if I called you on the phone directly? And I said, hi, this is Tara with Keller Williams in Fort Lauderdale. And I am going to be in your area teaching a great class. And I wanted to know, can I count on you to be there? Would you come? More likely not to say no, right? And then one-on-one, what if I took you out to lunch or had a Zoom call with you and I looked you face to face and asked you if you would come and be there and could you bring 1 or 2 people as well? Then would you come for sure? Feel pretty bad about disappointing me, right? This is for anybody. So your largest impact is going to be as you get higher up the communication pyramid. The way that I run my business is always trying to stay in the influential zone instead of just the informational zone. What do I mean by that? There's different ways to communicate, and think about what zone you live in with your clients currently. When you have offers, are you just sharing them online and having a phone call? Because I go in person. I explain every single detail. You're dealing with someone's largest investment in life. There's an appraisal discrepancy. If there's inspection issues, I am going in person and having a face-to-face conversation with that person. Is that annoying sometimes? Absolutely, and I don't care. There we go. So the informational zone, I mean, this is where I'm going to be sending, a newsletter or new listings that just came on the market that are probably going to be gone tomorrow, unless you're starting to see the same thing I'm seeing. If I'm sharing a success story, if I'm just sending you facts about a home, then this is where I'm going to use my advertising, direct mail, and email. If I'm inviting you for an event, like I said, inspection issues, appraisal issues, countering offers, any of that, I am going in person. Zoom has been a beautiful thing that it's been more comfortable for our clients to use as well. So Zoom is very similar to you going in person if you can't make it over to Drive or if they're not in the area, vice versa. There's really no excuse to not have these conversations in any other way other than in person or face-to-face and intimate conversations, which we'll get into the disc profile for that. So if you're looking to influence, convince, or impact, the way that you're going to do it the highest level is in your influential zone. So by asking yourself, how much time are you really spending in just the informational zone? Just throwing information at people, not having a conversation with them. you said out of converting combos, and how are we talking to more of these people were two of the things that you wanted as well. Managing the expectations. This is all going to go back to a conversation around the magic question. Again, this is all from 7 levels. Like, I'm not a genius who just makes this stuff up. This whole business is rip and repeat, right? I just take different things from different people and put it all together and make it my own. So if I had to ask you, which I'm going to ask you a question, and then you're going to raise your hand for the answers for the next 4. If your best friend, spouse, and or coworker had to best describe you out of one of 4 ways, best describe you out of one of 4 ways, which one would it be? Direct and straight to the point, social and outgoing, steady and dependable, or cautious and perfectly accurate? Let me go back. By a show of hands, if your best friend, spouse, and or coworker had to best describe you, how many here are direct and straight to the point? Okay. How many are social and outgoing? Most realtors. How many are steady and dependable? Okay. And how many are cautious and perfectly accurate? Okay. So that refers back to your DISC, your DISC profile. If you look on the bottom, there's a little poem that I love so much about caring like everyone's an S, smile like everyone's an I, prepare like everyone's a C, and sell like everyone's a D. So you that said that you are direct and straight to the point, you're a high D. My conversations with you are going to be different than somebody that's a high I or an S or an C. If you can master the DISC profile, I swear you can sell so much real estate. I mean, you can. So my favorite characteristic about myself is I'm a chameleon. I can literally cater any presentation, whatever I need to knowing who my audience is and knowing who I'm speaking to when I'm at that listing appointment, when I'm going to present an offer. Each way I'm sending an email, leaving a voicemail, leaving a text message, everything is different in my communication styles because I know their DISC profile. How do I know that? This is one great way to figure that out. Do I ask my clients that exact question? Absolutely. Another great question is to ask them to describe their house to you. So for example, has anybody taken a DISC profile or know what their DISC is?
I teach it.
You do?
Yeah, classes here soon, guys.
Yeah.
Based on the group that she just.
It's so powerful. The ones that are the high Ds, let's go through this first, actually. Oh, it's in your workbook, isn't it? That was from Charleston. Sorry to those on Zoom. You have a link to the workbook. So traits of a high D individual. And you could actually go to Scott Toller. This is free. Tony Robbins has a great test on it. Yeah, that one's not free, but it's worth it. I think this should be the address, scotttoller.com/DISC. He's my general manager, and he has, I believe, a free DISC profile on there. You have to know yours very well first to then know how can you cater to others' different type of personalities. I am a high I and a D under pressure. However, my C and S are creeping up a little bit the longer that I'm getting more advanced in real estate. So traits of a high D individual: direct, decisive, dominant, high self-opinion. They're fast and logical, low emotion, low empathy. That doesn't mean that you don't care about people, so don't take that offensively if that's you as a high D. They dislike repetition. They sometimes tend to ignore detail. They can be argumentative and challenge the status quo. He's the only one who said he was a high D in the room, by the way.
I think that this profile changes over time.
I think it definitely does.
I'm a high, very high I and slightly under D, but they're pretty much equal.
That's how I am.
But as I get older, I'm way more steady
And dependable.
and very dependable. Yes.
So more like an S.
I think of S as being super cautious.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. And we'll go through that. So the driver, how would you know if somebody, you were speaking to a client, a potential seller, and you asked them to describe their house to you and they were a high D? What do you think that response looks like, sounds like?
$1 million.
Thank you. Yes.
Sure.
Yes. 4 beds, 2 baths, has a pool. What else do you want to know?
Best house in the neighborhood.
More in a high I, unless that was the only thing they said. And so if you are not a high D, how do you best communicate to high Ds? Less chit chat, the better. Get to the point. No fluff. Like my broker, and your broker probably too, is a high D. Get to the point. He doesn't need to know the story of the facts of what's going on in the kid's situation. Like just tell him what the problem is so he can give you the solution. That's all. High logic and low emotion. If you disagree, focus on the facts. Do not focus on emotion with somebody who's a driver. Talk about what, not how. Don't talk about why it won't work. Only come with solutions, basically. And that's the same thing about avoid talking about problems. They will see it as being negative. And you don't make generalizations without facts for a high D. Is that helpful for you, sir, who I don't know your name? Jason?
Sure.
Okay. Is that how you would probably prefer to like to be communicated to? Awesome. So what if we're a high I, which by the way is most realtors. If I'm a high I and you asked me to describe my house to you, what does that sound like?
Oh, it's got an amazing pool. I love entertainment out here. The kitchen is great for all my friends to gather around. My bedroom, it's got the best wallpaper in the world.
Absolutely. They are going to be over descriptive. Yeah, and they're going to tell stories, and that's usually how that will look. So high Is are gregarious and outspoken, spontaneous. They live on the edge. They're expressive, usually center of attention, always running around. High emotion, they're vocal. They're a natural salesperson. And just because you're a natural salesperson, don't confuse that as being a great realtor. You have to teach skills. You can be a natural salesperson all you want. Are you actually selling, though, is the difference. They charm their way out of things. They can be a little manipulative. I've never done that. So if you are not a high I, the best way to communicate to high Is is going to be lighten up a bit with that. Like, don't take life so seriously. Let them talk things out. This is how they think. And for my high Is, how many times have you talked something out loud? Like, never mind, just answer my own question. Thanks for listening. And I know my grandmother always says, well, that you can always talk to yourself. Just when you start answering yourself back, then I'm going to get worried. I'm like, I think I do that too. So don't be boring. You don't have to get into too details, and always include them. They always want to feel like they're included. So if I have a husband and wife, and the husband's a D and the wife is a high I, if I'm having a high D conversation with the husband, there's no fluff. I'm not getting into details, yet I'm remembering to make sure she feels included and special in the conversation. You know, what do you think about that? Wouldn't you agree? Just using some tie downs to make them feel included in the conversation. So, and this is where it gets tricky about knowing if your sellers are married or it's a brother and sister, there's 2 or 3 people, they're not all the same disc profile. So how can you engage and make sure you're in the influential zone of the communication pyramid and having the right conversations to convert them into long-term opportunities? Is it starting to click a little bit? Okay. So if you are a high I, here's some personal growth opportunities. Figure out how to better manage time. Any high Is have a problem with that? Squirrels all the time. So learn to tone it down. Slow down and take a deep breath. That's usually something I usually start with my classes I teach with is if I ever talk too fast, always let me know. And if I drop a few F-bombs, it's because I'm very passionate. Just don't call Mo Anderson at me. So learning to tone it down and better managing time. So there's Jeff Glover actually taught me this, and it's always stuck with me. High eyes are the majority of realtors in the business because we think we're the natural salespeople. We know how to chit chat. We know how to kind of charm our way out of things and get what we want sometimes by just being ourselves and our personality. However, the difference is high eyes in real estate will never reach MREA status and probably even Gary's top 100 if they don't master managing their time. Because that's the biggest room for improvement that we have as high eyes is how are we managing our time? Because what happens is we're supposed to wake up at this time, get on the calls at this time, role play at this time, then lead generate at this time, and it gets boring. And high eyes don't like to be bored. You're laughing because you know it's true because you're a high eye. So if we learn to get bored and be comfortable with being boring and being in mundane activities that can seem boring, your business will increase. It's something I have to remind myself of very often. I'm the type of person who has expo markers on my mirror in my bathroom. I have affirmations everywhere. I need things in my face to remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing and how to slow down a little bit to speed up. Does that make sense? So high S. This is the person when I ask the question, if you're steady and dependable, okay? So traits of a high S, steady and calm, supportive, warm and friendly, serves other, they're methodical and they're patient. They're slower communication pace, they value harmony, and they're best at versatility. If I'm a high S and I'm describing my house, after you asked me to describe my house to you, what does that sound like? Oh, I was really confused.
So they're going to talk about their family time. So, oh, this is where our family gathers. Here for X years. We've done things. It's all about like the experiences they've had with family and like stable time that they've stayed. The sunlight coming in is certain direction.
Yes.
They'll paint the picture for you in a very calm, methodical way.
Very, very methodical way. So understand that high S's are also, because they're steady and dependable, they're going to be the type of person when you ask them a question that's going to say, hey, that's a great question. Let me talk to my husband and I'll get back to you. Because they're steady and dependable. They're methodical. They're not overly analytical like a high C, yet because they're steady and dependable, they need more information to make the right decision because they don't want to make the wrong one. And they usually will talk at a slower pace. I find this sometimes in a lot of my elderly clientele, which we live in Florida, so we deal with that a lot. And I am such a sucker for them because I'll do anything. I was mulching someone's yard last week. So notice that you have to mirror and match that, right? So how do you communicate to them if you are not a high S? Well, show sincere interest in their interest. Don't force quick responses. Ask how questions. Never interrupt and listen intentionally. I was at a listing appointment yesterday. Husband is a high D C and she is just S all the way. And you can never interrupt. I was taking notes of everything that they were talking about and all the places they've traveled to, and just they like when they know that you are intentionally listening to them. And those are the type of people that you repeat things back to them. Like, so what I'm hearing you say is that correct? Did I miss anything? Those are the people I'm having those conversations with. Look for hurt feelings. Do not break promises with a high S. This is the amiable people. Do not break promises with them. They will remember. And avoid gossip or conflict gossip with them. They don't like that. And show appreciation for their acts of kindness. And sometimes building that trust with them takes time. If you are a high S, I believe there's only 2 of you, learn to say no more, because you're the type of person who will always say yes to things. And increase your pace or rate of speech sometimes when you're talking to others, because you guys tend to usually be the slowest talkers. Is that right, wrong, or indifferent? It doesn't matter. It is who you are, so own it. If you're going to be a high C, traits of a high C. So this is the analytical, very analytical. If I'm a high C, I'm going to be detail oriented. I'm going to be a perfectionist. I'm going to be very low emotion, fear change, and fast moving situations. I'm going to be punctual. I'm going to be very logic based. No, not emotion based like a high I. I'm going to be very, very, very logic based. I'm going to be so accurate and precise. If you called me and asked me to describe my house to you, what does a high C sound like?
Because we pay this much for this. This is what the water costs. This is what the electric. This is how much we pay for electric. Oh yeah, we have 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms are 8 by 10. They'll give you the whole. We've owned it for 17 years. I bought it on the first of.
Amen. She nailed it. Absolutely. They're going to be the one. It's 10,456 square foot lot. We just put in a 5-ton AC unit on November 22nd of last year. Like, they are very analytical. Do not mess up your numbers with the analytical people, because they will call you out for them. When I'm presenting on how to give a listing presentation and get prices, and or preparing, like yesterday, I had to present offers, and he's very analytical. So I brought them and put them in a spreadsheet. It's the same way I would have when I meet with appraisers. Appraisers are analytical. They look at numbers all day and analyze them. They have to be precise and accurate. They cannot mess it up, even though they do. So the way that I'm catering my emails is going to be based on what they are. High I's are going to get the emojis always, and they're going to get the detailed voicemails. And a high D is going to get, this is Tara. I spoke to them. They said, yes, I'll call you tomorrow. Bye.
Have you ever done campaigns based on this profile?
Yes. Just started editing that a few weeks ago, because I don't like one generic email. And then I deal with a lot of luxury clients that they would murder me if I sent them what some of these smart plans verbiage is.
I feel like the subject line can make a difference to it. I know what you're about it.
Yeah.
Just getting to open the email if you're talking to the right person.
Yep. The subject line for sure.
Yeah.
The way that you're leaving voicemails and text messages and all of that, everything is centered around your disc profile, because what is there? So change the way, what's bold law, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. If you master your disc profile, one, by knowing everything about yourself and what you are, knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then mastering how to identify what they are, so then you know how to cater your presentations to. That's where your conversions happen. I'll give you a really painful one. I got a listing appointment. Actually, my mom had gotten the call. We sold the house across the street, same exact model, literally same model. And he was interviewing other realtors, and I did not have any information going into it, because my mom just said, hey, will you go with me to the listing appointment? And I said, do you know what he does for a living? She's like, no. And I'm like, well, that's numero uno. That is a problem, because I need to know that stuff. So I actually have a seller intake form, which I'm happy to share with you guys. And I ask them everything. I need to know what they do for a living. I need to know, describe your house for me is a conversation I would have had with him, so I can understand what type of personality type he is. I didn't get this opportunity to do any of that. So we go into the listing appointment. Obviously, I went in for the close and asked him if he'd be ready to hire us. And he said he had the other interview. Then I went into, obviously, well, I can't call that other agent other than you having that other interview. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't hire us today? I mean, I could go on and on for scripts, close them 5 times. Pretty good at closing. And we got a second interview and we didn't get the listing. It was like it was like 1.2 a few weeks ago. And once I found out at that appointment and I asked him what he did, he's a forensic accountant. I'll never forget that I sat back in my chair at the dining room table and I was like, well, I'm screwed. Like, I didn't bring anything analytical for this presentation. I didn't bring trend graphics reports. I didn't bring numbers like that. Like, there is no way other than my charm will I possibly even have a second opportunity. And I guarantee you, I only got that second appointment because of my personality and my charm and expertise. Because I am the expert. Even when I'm not, I am the expert. Because the way you talk to yourself matters. And sure enough, when we didn't get it, I told my mom, I said, there is only one person that I know that I would lose to that guy. And he doesn't work with KW. I know my area. I know my competition. And I said, it has to be. And sure enough, guess who took that listing? The most analytical agent that all of Parkland. He's so analytical. He's annoying. He's so analytical. And I just knew, I mean, what are the odds? I knew my competition. I knew the price range. I know who's the best in the neighborhoods besides me. And sure enough, I lost to him. And I wasn't mad about it because it was us that failed for not figuring out that disc profile to cater the conversation and the presentation to prior to going to that appointment. The first appointment. And right before I was looking on LinkedIn and Facebook, I couldn't find this man anywhere. So knowing what your clients are before you go to an appointment and presentation will literally convert so much more business. I promise. It's like time and time again, it's proven. So if you are a high C, you need to get out of analysis paralysis. You're always analyzing. Just make a decision. As a high D would say it, make a decision. In sales, you don't have to know it all. You probably won't ever know everything to be able to get all your analysis together, to be able to then to make a decision. So just know that that's reality, is that you don't have to know it all. Now, when I use that, what I had said when we first started, the discovery, that little poem that Michael put together, I love so much. So it's care like everyone's an S, smile like everyone's an I, prepare like everyone's a C, and sell like everyone's a D. Does that make a lot more sense now?
Yeah.
So it's how can you be a mixture and know when to tone down or tone up your disc to be able to match the other person. Okay. Any questions on disc? Okay. So who's in your flock? You notice, do you see my branding throughout this thing? See how particular I am? So who is in your flock? We talked about being new. Who said new? You said new and you said new. What were you doing prior to real estate? That's awesome. I was just going to say, there's a reason why you guys are sitting next to each other. So you were in the business of helping people and animals for how long? And then how about you?
I was in automotive the last 10 years. I was with Tesla the last 5 years.
Would you say that you helped people? For how many years?
10 years.
10 years.
Since I graduated college.
You're both going to make a promise to me that you're no longer going to use the word new in your vocabulary, and your friends are going to hear it because you're going to say yes. And you had already been in the business of helping others for 30 years, for 10 years. And now you added real estate to your toolbox, your treasure box, whatever you want to call it, to be able to help more people accomplish their financial or wealth building goals. The words we use matter. So using new, like, have you sold a house yet? Okay, you're not new. You got your feet wet. You're not new. New goes. Don't, because you will find reasons to make excuses of why you aren't where you want to be or desire to be because you're new and just don't know everything yet. So that word new comes out. So if you had to think about who do you need in your network? Who do you currently don't have that you feel like you would need in your network? For example, one of my favorite things to do is, a few of you said you took gold, right? Okay. This will answer a few more of your questions that you guys said that what your goals were. My favorite thing to do is the yellow pages exercise. And even if you're a veteran, there's going to be room for improvement to be able to find what you need. What does that look like? You're gonna take the alphabet. Cool. It's a cool opportunity. Like if you have kids, include them in it. Give me a few businesses that start with letter C. Keep going. Barista, you said coffee. D. And then we can list doctor, what type of doctor? Oh, dentist. I just spent 2 days a week in the dentist chair for 7 weeks, $9,000 later. So fun. What else? Okay, what about E? What else? Yes, girl, once a month. I just butchered spelling that, but we're good. What else? What about F? Love my florist. Fluorine. Yes, need him. Don't laugh at me, that's not right either. I was born a natural blonde, I blame on that. You see where I'm going with this, right? A through Z, again, do with your kids, if you have kids, to keep them involved. Then I want you to look at your current database and take just one letter every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you guys want to do. This is a lot of my lead generation. That's actually a lot of fun. Let's say, flooring. You could even do the D2 for this. Let's say this week I'm focusing on flooring and just letter F for florist or whatever it is. Or maybe I'm looking at what type of vendors do I need in real estate that I'm always using. Title, lender, my landscape architect is godsend. My mortgage broker, my electrician, I'm using almost all the time, my handyman, like I can start just with those people alone. If you don't have at least one person for them, there's your room for opportunity. You need 2 to 3 people for every single category. And I know we're not supposed to do this. You have one mortgage lender. Where's your second one? Where's your third one as a backup? I have showing assistants, mortgage lenders, title. I have everybody based on the disc profile. I do not send certain clients to certain people if their disc profile is not going to match up. I'm not losing that opportunity. Even my showing assistants, disc profile, they're matched with my clients based on their disc profile. I'm not sending my high D out with my analytical buyer. It's not happening because I will lose that client really fast until my assistants have like learned better, and there's always room for opportunity. So let's say that it's a flooring person. And I realize that I only have one flooring guy. Why do we need 2 or 3 per each category? Yes, both. So the reason why I say this is because you need 2, because if you just refer one mortgage lender and that mortgage lender doesn't do a great job and or their personalities didn't match, guess whose fault it is? It's yours. And if I gave you 2 to 3 people and you chose to use one and then you didn't like them, guess whose fault it is not? It's not my fault. And just because, like, I had one roofer, always had a great experience with him. All the clients love him, matched him up with one client 6 years ago. She hated him. And I heard about it for like 3 days. And I was just like, that's never happening again. And maybe the guy just had a bad day that day. Or then it clicked to me, I think it was the personality. It just didn't match. So always have 2 to 3 for each. And then for my mortgage lenders, like I have one that she's very, very patient. Even if you're not going to buy for 2 to 3 years, she's going to tell you what you need to do to get to where you want to be at and help you create a plan around that. And it could be whenever you're ready. She will hold your hand. And then I have another that he talks so damn fast, you have no idea what he said. He's great for my New Yorkers, or he's a hard money lender too. And he, yeah, I got it. Just send it over. I'll take care of it. Okay, yeah, bye. Like, he's been great for all of like my rapper clients and just the high D's or whatnot.
How many rapper clients do you have?
So I helped a guy who was that I grew up with. He was a rapper, and then I worked with a record label owner for a while. So a handful, and then a lot of athletes too. I'm the sports and entertainment agent in Fort Lauderdale as well. However, I really, and I'll go on this little tangent. I always wanted to work with athletes and entertainers, and I thought it'd be so cool. And then I started to work with them. It's so not cool. And especially with the football players or hockey players I would work with, because what I didn't realize is that they are children, because they have been babied all through high school and then all through college. And then somebody gives a 23-year-old $50 million and then stick them in South Florida where you can go to strip clubs 24 hours a day. And they don't know how to do anything. I have to do everything. Like turn on their electricity, set up cable. We'll talk about glove service. That is a whole other thing. I am fascinated by it. So I'm not mad if I don't really work with any, although it's cool to say, yeah, it is. Anyways, tangent. So the conversations that you could have, that's the easiest lead generation ever, is going to be the conversations to build your preferred VIP vendors list. Okay. What does that look like? Totally out of bold yellow pages script. My flooring guy's a perfect example. So let's say I only have one flooring person, or I don't have anyone at all. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on social media. Everybody has Facebook. I'm going to go to social media and I'm going to ask, I'm looking for a great person who specializes with flooring or wood flooring or whatever type of flooring you want. Who do you know that I should know? Second side note, before I'm doing that, I live by a 5-5-5 rule on social media. 5-5-5 is I am liking 5 posts. I am commenting on 5 posts with more than 3 words. And I'm also interacting with 5 stories and or direct messages. 5 likes. Don't like your local realtors in your area. That's not what this point is for. That doesn't mean you don't not like their stuff. I'm just saying, like, you're trying to broaden your audience. The more interaction you have with people on social media, the more of them see your stuff. Comment with more than 3 words. You're not going to say, wow, that's great. Wow, that is so great. More than 3 words. And 5 interactions with stories and or DMs, direct messages, or I'm interacting with emojis on their story or commenting. By doing this before you post, you cheat the system for analytics. More people before you post. Literally, it's a cheat system. I got it from the Facebook executive. I'm at a different level now. This is what I used to always do. Mine, which I'm just going to throw out, you don't expect you to do it. Mine is 50, 25, 5, 1. 50 likes a day, 25 words with comments with more than 3 words, 5 direct messages always leads me to 1 new appointment and or 1 great person to add to my database a day. That's for another class. That's for a whole other class. So, because if not, you'd be like, thank you for flying Delta. No, you're fine. You're more than welcome. Well, go enjoy. You're very welcome. So 555, I'm doing that before I'm actually posting. So then when I'm going online, I'm saying, hey, I'm looking for a great flooring person. Who do you know that I should know? And then let's say you get people that tag other people because your post is also public. What do you do with those contacts? What do you think you do with them? Yeah. So a few different things. I'm going to go in, I'm going to thank the person. Thank you publicly. Go and introduce myself to the next person. Ask them when is a good time to chat with them for 3 to 5 minutes so I can learn more about their business. And then once I connect with them, then I'm going to go back to the person who gave them to me and tell them that we had connected and then ask them about them and how's life going and forward scripts and all that. When I'm talking to the flooring person, and this is the yellow pages thing we talked about, it's, hi, my name's Tara with Keller Williams. As a local realtor, you can imagine I have many people that are moving and selling their homes in the area. And I just wanted to know, because you were referred to me by Stephanie, who said that you're the best flooring person. Just wanted to know, are you still taking clients? New clients? The answer is no, like I'm done with them, right? Okay, oh, have a great day, bye. If the answer is yes, which it's usually always yes, then it's say, okay, great. So do you have a couple minutes that I could ask you a few questions so I can learn more about your business? Because I'm looking to build my preferred VIP vendors list for great people like you in the area. What type of flooring do you specialize in? How long have you been in the business? Where can I find testimonials? What areas do you serve? Because don't assume all flooring people do all types of flooring. I didn't know that until I started having these conversations. He's like, oh no, we don't do wood or marble. I'm like, but you're a flooring guy. Like, I don't know. I'm not a flooring person. So having these conversations helped me be able to then go into my CRM and put like what type of flooring they actually specialize in. You could take it one step notch, and I get it. We're supposed to be 20 contacts a day. Mine are 10 because I have very high level conversations and very intentional. With that flooring person, could you go into the job and introduce yourself and leave some business cards? Absolutely. Could you take the flooring guy out to coffee or lunch? Absolutely. Could you find a second business that the flooring guy does that you could introduce to somebody else who they may need? Or could he introduce you to his favorite carpenter? Does he do carpets? You don't know. The reason why I'm honing in on this is because if I move to Naples, I don't know anyone. Who's the best flooring person? Who's the best electrician? Where's the parks with the biggest swings? Where can I get fresh oysters and snow crabs? Only you know. I don't. So when people come to me, and the reason why I know that I have the level of business that I do is because I am a concierge. I've been calling myself a concierge realtor since I got into the business. I am a one-stop shop. I am better than Angie's List. What do you need? What do you got? I can help. I just sold a boat at my client's house. You think I know anything about boats? No, I've sold cars at my clients' houses. Do I know anything about cars? No, but he had a lot of them and he needed them to get sold in order for me to get the price. So I'll sell them. I can solve any problems that they have. And if I can't, I will find somebody who will. This is why they come to me and they come back to me. This is why they know, they don't just call me once the real estate transaction is done. They know I'm going to know the best pool person, or they let another friend know. I even know the best swim instructors. I don't have little kids. I used to be a swim instructor, but when my clients moved into the area and they had 3 little kids and I knew they were going to need to have swimming lessons because they had a pool, they were on a lake, and you're in Florida, let's be real. And I'm very passionate about kids and drowning. So I didn't know in their area, because it was 45 minutes away from me, who the best swim instructor was. I'm not in that business anymore. What did I do? I went to the bougie moms group and asked them who's the best swim instructor. Posted on social media. And then the person who referred me, I saw the same name of somebody 3 different times. And that person ended up getting the job, especially because the personality types that I saw for the people that recommended them. I knew that person would be great. And they crushed it. And then I built a relationship with this new swim instructor. So now I can really call her at any time. And 2, I went and personally gave flowers to the people who recommended them. How many touches is that? Can you imagine how many calls you can make and lead generate by building your preferred vendors list? And it's up to you whether you want to keep this as like a little black book and then you want to give it to your clients when they move in the area. I would suggest that you give them a teaser of it. I personally don't suggest giving them the whole thing because when I did that, my phone didn't ring as much because they had everything, you know, they didn't need me. I set up my clients' car service, hotel reservations sometimes, or at least have great relationships with the concierge. When they come into town, they have a gift for them in the hotel. I can set up their dinner reservations. I tell them, if you can't get into a restaurant, tell me and I'll get you in. I just finagle it. Don't ask me how I do it. I just do it. This is such a game changer.
So using this as PPP2. So like this week we're doing, let's say, P and F and texting stuff. So are you saying like every day I'm gonna be asking for a different vendor, like on Facebook, like who knows the great pediatrician, who knows the great.
I'd probably limit to like once or twice a week. Yeah, and answer your question, yes. Use the DDD2 list and just focus on those letters for whatever date that topic is for. Does that make sense? So let me go back to that page of who's in your flock. Who do you need in your network based on the conversation we just had that you can probably jot down 3 people that you need in your network? That when I first asked that question, you were like, well, I don't know. I didn't see anybody write anything down. So who do you need in your network? Tell me someone you wrote down. Handyman. Oh, love my handyman. Different lender, especially hard money lender. And lenders love to take you to lunch or happy hour, let me tell you. And then who should you appreciate and or introduce? Who has done a really great job for you lately that you need to appreciate and love on? Let me give you some examples. My real estate photographer is now pretty much #1 in all of South Florida. Guess who he refers business to? Even though he has how many realtors he works with? Why? Because I appreciate and love on him. I've helped him grow his business. When he needed more photographers, I made him flyers looking for more photographers. My painter, who was referred to me by another realtor, my other biggest referral source. Every time he gets called to go paint a house and because they're getting ready to sell it, he calls me with their information. Why? Because I appreciate and love on him. My FedEx driver and my Amazon and my mailman are out looking right now while I'm sitting here for my FSBOs and tore down homes. How? Because I know my mailman's name is Alan. His kid just graduated from college. He was referred to me by another mailman who ended up retiring, who I sold his house for. Alan, his favorite thing to do is golf on the weekends. He likes to be a mailman because he likes to look at houses and he meets a lot of kids and dogs and he's never been bitten by one. Alan sends me in my FSBOs. I don't cold call FSBOs and expireds, but Alan, my FedEx and Amazon drivers do. Can you imagine if you just have other people that go out and they're just sending me? I showed him what a picture of a for sale owner sign looked like. And I asked him when he comes across one, could he please let me know? Or when you can see that mailbox is getting really, really full, could you call me and tell me what address it is? Like the outside looks gross and they haven't, picked up their garbage, or you haven't seen any garbage cans out, or their mailbox, like they haven't checked their mail. It's like falling out and it just looks distressed. And he sends me those addresses too. It's like free lead gen. So I give them gifts on their birthdays and Christmas. Give them like $20, $50, depends. Even my garbage men. I say that because who should you appreciate and or introduce? Who should you appreciate as first? When's the last time you told your mortgage lender who's helped you before that you really appreciate them? Like genuinely told them, or your team leader, or Amber as your, I think she's your OP, who by the way is one of my favorite bold coaches. Who can you go and give some love on? And just let them know you appreciate them. Write them down. Who is there somebody that you can introduce to each other that you know needs to meet? For example, is there a brand new agent in the office potentially that you should probably introduce to your favorite mortgage lender? The worst headache, sorry. Yeah, no, but Aspen, here's all. Who did you write down and why?
I wrote down Curtis because I just didn't want
Yeah. So to write him down to just telling you appreciate him?
That and to tell them.
Awesome. I'm glad you signed up. It's not official. I guess it's recorded. Although I am taking the PC role in Fort Lauderdale. It's official Friday. Thanks. So if you know of anyone that I should take under my wing, let me know. Who else did you write down?
Well, I wrote down my number because she worked this weekend on her vacation in Massachusetts. She's here for my client. Literally like all weekend long, trying to get this through, and then the deal is so. I just so appreciate, that she took the time on her vacation, helping make this get through. So I definitely have to give her some love. Take her lunch, do something, and introduce her to another.
She'd appreciate that very much, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Probably use some flowers after that,
Yeah.
or a bottle of wine.
Yep.
Drink her sorrows away. Your next question is, who is your Oprah? What do I mean by that? Who is the person in your life that is always cheering you on, that is always there for you, that is always saying, I believe in you? When my friend did that to me and said I was her Oprah, I bawled my eyes out for 10 minutes. How good did that just feel that she recognized you as her Oprah? I have goosebumps. I remember when that happened. You have an Oprah, even if you think you don't, you do. When's the last time you told them how much you love them and appreciate them? Or did something nice for them? How do we get more Oprahs? By loving and appreciating others. So when I talk about 7 levels of communication, what it's referring to, it's the generosity generation. If you give and give and give and give, you will eventually receive. If you give without the intention of receiving sincerely, you will receive. And sometimes you will lose, and that's okay. You can't attach yourself to the outcome. So what I want you to do is to take the people that you wrote down of who you need in your network, go and find those people. And then you have the people that you should appreciate and or introduce. What does that look like? Well, we have this lovely thing called networking stacks. This is how I run my weekly business and my lead generation. My favorite thing to do. It is very important to come into the office and go to these trainings and be present for the team meetings and get the energy. Like, yes, I've explored EXP multiple times and there's just no way I'm living in a virtual world. I don't even care if it makes me more money and I'm turning into a full-time recruiter. Like, just not happening. The culture is just like this is home and family and I'm not going anywhere. My mom's been with 20 brokerages, been in the business for 37 years. And she's like, I'm dying here. And I'm like, hallelujah, because I think I am too. And I'm okay with that. I say that and I say, nobody is coming to talk to you about real estate in your office other than other realtors. What business are you getting from those other realtors unless you're in a PC role or you're a trainer or you're in leadership and or like you're not getting business from that. I say that because now I get a lot of business from the agents in my office because they end up just splitting deals with me. So I'll teach more classes so I can get paid more. That's why I decided to PC because I'm like, I'm already doing it anyways. Home court advantage. And when you read the book, because you're all going to order it, home court advantage is where it is your home court and everybody knows who you are. I have 3 home courts. They're all 30 minutes away from each other. One's on the top 10 richest streets in America, which is Los Olas, where I live. Not because I'm rich, I live in a high rise, this vertical living, guys, so don't freak out. And 2, the other one's in Pompano Beach, 30 minutes away. And then I have 30 minutes west in suburbia at a really fancy restaurant. I wanted to pick my clientele of who I wanted to work with and the clientele I wanted more of, because let's be honest, I mean, I love the price point. I like the bigger commission checks. They're a little harder to work. And my goal is, you know, closer to staying no less than that 15, 20 million. And I don't want to sell more than 20 or 25 houses. Because I get paid and I get energy from this. So my goal is to eventually switch to where it's this is more just 50% of my business. So my home court, this is where you're going to take the people that you need to find because you don't have them in your database, because I'm moving to Naples and I don't know anyone and I have 5 kids and I need to know everyone. And I'm picking my home court of, I think this one went of who? Yeah, so who? So who is the type of clientele that you want to be with? And don't just tell me you really want to work luxury, but you don't like those people and that's not who you are. Let me go back to that beer and wings conversation. If you're a beer and wings guy, then go to the local wings place and make that your home court. Like, stick to who you are. I don't know if there's horse restaurants, but I 100% would be anywhere at any of those. I want to talk to more horse people. So I'd probably go pick a restaurant that's outside of an equestrian. Or where do all the moms go after they take their kids and drop them off at training for, I don't know what that's called, horseback ride training? Something like that. Yeah, you can tell I don't ride horses. I did once. And then I couldn't walk for like 2 days. So who are the type of people that you want to attract? Who are the people that you want to have conversations with? And let's be honest, if you don't like talking to people, then you shouldn't be in real estate. You should like be behind the scenes doing ads and stuff, and that's it. So who are the type of people that you want to talk and meet? Someone give me an idea that they had of a great restaurant that they would go to.
I would go to the Watermark Trail.
Why?
Because it's close to the area that I farm.
Perfect. Genius.
Yeah, it's not Fifth Avenue, luxury, but also since I'm already a bartender. So it's like, why wouldn't I just keep going there? God. I mean,
Yep. And that's
I don't
usually,
mean like I go there every Friday. I mean, like I'm consistently going enough times where they will know me.
yeah.
Right? So it's like, why wouldn't you make that a home court? And it's in an area I would like to sell it.
Yeah. And that's the benefit. So let me set this up for you, because this is where it's all going to make sense. My home court, if I don't have any appointments, I just go and pop up shop at my home court. I'm wearing, like today, I don't have any appointments. So once I leave here, if anything, I'll probably just go to YOLO and I'll probably just pop up shop. I bring the laptop. Can I have the same conversations that I would have in my office? Can I do the same things that I would do in my office at the restaurant? Yes. So I have my computer. On the back of my computer, it has flamingos and says, "Thank you. Questions about real estate? Let's chat." My name badge is on. It's always on your right side. Name badge is always on your right side because when you shake someone's hand, they were more likely to remember your name because it's a direct vertical look instead of across. That's a public speaking thing. I can't tell you how much business I get from just doing that. Nothing more. Like, I'm sitting at the bar. I am getting to know I'm getting to know the bar. With this place, I know everybody. I get to know others, and other people are naturally attracted to me because the manager comes over and says hello, and even the valet people know my name. I do not. This is the place you park your fancy car out front. I do not have a fancy car, and they still park my car out front and never charge me $20 for valet because it's me, because I take care of them.
So you actually eating?
Not always. So in the beginning, I would, well, let me just set it up for you on how it was and then how I got there and how you can do the same. If I have the easiest way to do it. Tracy is a attorney. A divorce attorney because I got my certified divorce training certificate. And yes, I've never been married and or therefore never been divorced. And my certified divorce specialist. Yes. Why? Because there's a minimum of 2 to 3 transactions. Duh. And I don't judge, so I just help people. Our job is to be a resource. We don't sell houses, we sell a lifestyle. So Tracy, and then new agent, Rochelle. And then I'm interviewing for new, which I actually truly am, interviewing for a new handyman. So his name is Sean. Thursdays are typically my networking stack days. What does that look like? So on Thursday, I am setting up an appointment with Tracy from 12 to 1, Rachel from 1:30 to 2, 1 to 1:30, Sean from 1:30 to 2. On a piece of paper, the hostess gets the names of all 3 of these people, and sometimes usually a brief description of what they look like. And then I usually go down and sit down at my table. This is for lunch. This isn't the happy hour one. When Tracy, she's a brand new divorce attorney. I've never met her before. She doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. And some people don't believe me about my age, 36. They're like, hey, you look so much younger, which I'll take. You can keep IDing me as long as you want. I'm happy about it. When Tracy gets there and the hostess says, oh, you must be Tracy. Or, hey, I'm here to meet Tara. Oh, yes, you must be Tracy. So nice to see you. Come right this way. How are you? Oh, Tara, how do you know Tara? Oh, she's great. Whatever the conversation is. Tracy sits down. I have a notebook out, usually an item of value, and a pen. And I've already ordered a water or a tea, whatever it is. Tracy sits down. Naturally, you get into the fluff talk. How's the weather? Da, 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 da. And I do let them know I do have an appointment at 1 o'clock with Rachel. She's a brand new agent. And when she gets here, I would love for you to meet her once we finish. I set the expectation that we have to be done in 1 hour, right? While I'm sitting there, the server comes over and takes their order and says, Tara, would you like your usual? Managers walk by, other servers say hello. Hey, Tara, how are you? Sometimes the cooks will walk through and say hello, which is awesome. They know me by name. Have I had to talk about myself and my credentials at all yet? Do you think that if I don't know that person, that I look like I am somebody, right? So my favorite part is when the managers, because the managers, they know that I do this. So sometimes they'll come over and they'll like comp, the dinner, the lunch or dinner or whatever. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Because they also know that I'm going to come back and love on them too. So they're smart. Although one of the places I used to manage myself for 10 years. So that's also how I know everybody. But I'll teach you how to do this even if you haven't done that. So Tracy and I are having a conversation. I'm getting to know more about her business. I'm using the Ford script, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and goals. I'm finding things to talk about. I am intentionally listening. I'm asking her what her ideal client is, how long she's been in the business, I'm asking what her ideal client is, because what if I come across somebody who needs her services? And I need to learn what her disc profile is, because I need to match the divorce people accordingly. Hate to say it, but Broward County is the #1 county for divorces. So there's a lot of them, divorce attorneys. As we're going through that, I'm looking for something for a homework assignment to be able to do with her. What do I mean by that? By asking 3 deep of questions, because remember, the person who talks the most dominates the conversation, and the person who asks the most questions controls the conversation. So would I rather dominate the conversation and talk about me, or would I rather control it and get what I want from it? I want to control that shit all day. So by having the notepad out and taking notes and getting to know more about our ideal client and what she's looking for and what's important to her, I'm looking for a homework assignment of something that is a need that she has that I can help fix. Let me give you some examples. Met with a interior designer, and she said her biggest room for improvement or opportunity right now was looking for a receptionist. And I said, well, what's a great receptionist look like to you? Oh, attention to detail, and I'm writing it all down. I said, in case I come across that person, what do they look like? And then I used what we use for Keller Williams, and I created a missing persons report, and I gave it to her. That was my follow-up homework. Do you think I posted it once on social media, and I don't think she ever got anything from it from me for somebody for the job? However, when I had that return phone call, follow-up conversation with her and said, how's it going? Just want to follow up from our conversation. And was what I sent you helpful for the missing persons report to find the person you're looking for, and or have you found them yet? No, I haven't. And you know what? Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your help. What can I do for you? Ding, 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 ding. I know I did what I was supposed to do if I hear those questions. What can I do for you? So the opportunity could be a million things. So I don't spend, yes, we're 30 million. We've never paid for a lead before. I spend my money in marketing and little items of value like this. Talking to another gentleman, and we talked about his goals and dreams, and one of them was to take his son to go to all the baseball stadiums around the country. That was my homework assignment, ding, ding, ding. I followed up with a book of the history of every baseball stadium in the United States. Did that tell him I was listening, or did that tell him I was listening? Do you think he appreciated that? Do you know how much that cost me? $24.99. A little bit of shipping wrapped in a gift box, $30. Was that, and lunch? Is that worth it? Absolutely. I probably closed at least 4 million with him since.
So what was he becoming?
He was a chiropractor.
Yeah, let me ask you, like, this divorce attorney, what are you saying to her to get her to meet you for lunch?
As you can imagine, I come across a lot of clients that are unfortunately dealing with divorce and or exploring that opportunity. And I'm looking for a great divorce attorney to refer to my clients. Would you be available to lunch? Multiple ways. One way we went over, posted on Facebook. And then we'll go through the handwritten note part. So then Tracy and I get finished. I find my homework assignment. We're done. Rachel it's 1 o'clock. My hostess also knows, don't bring me Rachel until it's 1 o'clock and the bill's been paid. They already know that because I've trained them. You teach people how to treat you. Another bold law. We're done. Hostess brings Rachel over. Rachel comes over. Tracy, this is Rachel. Rachel's a brand new agent. She's totally going to need your services. I'm sure she's going to run across people who are probably getting divorced. Ladies, if you don't mind, I'm going to excuse myself. I have to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Whether I have to go or not, I'm going. What do you think they talk about when I'm gone? Can you see the levels of, like, what's the word? I just had a brain fart. Like the levels of credentials that I created without doing or saying anything about myself. So Rachel and I are talking, and do I think Tracy needs to meet Rachel? Do they need each other for referrals? They do. Could Rachel find somebody that needs Tracy's help and vice versa? I don't look at any other realtor as my competition, so that I'm not worried about. So Rachel, do you think Sean as a handyman could probably use Rachel as well and vice versa? So I do this strategically, and the same conversation is here and here. Yeah. Like if I wanted to take my productivity coach out to go to lunch, I want to bring another agent who's not in PC coaching as a second follow-up. You know what I mean? Or maybe just set up a happy hour together and they all happen to be there. Because I'm thinking about others sincerely. Like I'm looking to grow Sean's business. I'm looking to grow Rachel's business, and I'm looking to grow Tracy's business. Anywhere. It could be another brokerage. I don't even care. Yeah. Usually if she's not with KW, I'm looking to grow. And now that I'm in PC coaching and I'm a coach for 2 different other companies, there's an opportunity there for her to coach with me. Yeah, it depends what her level of business is at. And I really do need a new handyman, so that's why I thought of Sean. The same conversation goes for each 3 of those. I'm looking for pain points. I'm looking for rooms of improvement. What's their biggest struggle or problem right now, like, and whatnot. How do I get business from this besides just doing this? There's something called, oh, no, magic question was I was just kidding. Magic question was if your best friend, spouse, or coworker had to best describe you. Chosen one script is what I use. Again, all from 7 levels. I use this depending on where my conversation goes with these people is where I will use this conversation. And I always get that little tickled feeling every time I get ready to say it. And I don't know why. I don't know if it ever goes away. I think it's because we all fear rejection, right? So depending on how my conversation was with Tracy, if I didn't already find a homework assignment and solve it at that particular time, then I will do that then, or I will follow up with it when I get the what can I do for you conversation. And then I ask them if your neighbor, best friend, or coworker had a real estate need, who do you refer that business to? If they say me, then great. Awesome. Although I don't know how your guys' coast is, but our coast, I have 72,000 realtors in a 62-mile radius. Largest one in the entire country. If you include the Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach board, I have 96,000. It's bananas. I mean, you could throw a rock and hit 10 of them. Just saying. And are they all great? No. So the chosen one. So when you or someone you know has a real estate need, who you're referring that business to. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's not me, you know? If they say it's me, then I say, when you come across somebody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 60 days, can you please introduce us? Could you please not just give them my phone number? Could you introduce us and exchange information, email, via text, or phone call? Because most times they won't reach out to me if you just give them my number. You teach people how to treat you. You set up the expectations of how to give you referrals. Because how many times have people said, oh yeah, I told so-and-so your name and your info and you're a great realtor. You never heard from that person.
You're asking them for them to give you their information.
Mm-hmm. Or introduce us via text or email or phone call, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm teaching them how to treat. I'm teaching them how to give me referrals, how to help me grow my business. The next one would be, if the answer is no. Okay, can I ask who that person is? How long have you known them? Is it a family friend? Do they do this part-time? Are they full-time? How long have they been in the business? How many times have you worked with them? What have you enjoyed most working about them? What have you enjoyed least working about them? How often do you refer them and tell them about to others? Like, I will not run out of questions. One, because I'm sincerely curious. And maybe there's like a personality trait that they love that I don't even do. And I'm just curious about that, right? Most of the time I find out it's like a family friend and they feel obligated to use them. Or it's their best friend, cousin's best friend, or whatever it is. And I usually will dig down deep for that. Then that leads into, so I can appreciate that. And I'm not looking for all of your business. I'm just looking for you to see how I do business differently. So in the next 30 to 60 days, would you be willing to refer me one person that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? If the answer is no, then they go into my delete button, which means they go in a drip campaign. I don't put any investment into them. If the answer is yes, then I'm going to follow up again and again. And you notice how I do a 30, 60-day time frame? I don't want to just say, whenever you find somebody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, will you tell me about them? Like, I learned that really quick that does not get me the results that I want at all. So it's just being more intentional with your conversations and not being scared, and understand sometimes it's not going to be you and it will never be you. And that's just not your person. And that's okay. My favorite thing David Long from Bold had said one time was, some will, some won't, so what? Next. That's your 5-second funeral. Next. And sometimes I have to scream it in my car because it sucks. It sucks when it's not you. And the reason too, and if I know that they're really loyal to that person, I'm really curious to know why. I really want to understand why. And I give that person a lot of credit when they are. And maybe as an agent, I know when I come across their name, I'm excited to work with them because I know how much their clients love them. Is this helpful? Is this different than maybe probably some of the other stuff you hear? Again, all 7 levels. So any questions, which then I'll tell you guys how you can kind of do that for your own businesses, whether you don't know anybody at a venue to do this at, or you kind of have a place like Stephanie. Any questions about anything so far regarding chosen one, magic questions, setting these up, doing your vendors, anything?
Do I still have to read that 7 levels book?
So there's over 100 and I think it's 180 systems in there. We only went over 4.
Yeah, but it's good because it's not like MRA, it's a story. You can get into
I just
it.
want to make sure I have.
It's a fable.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say this is system 1 or it's just Rick. It's just a story where Rick meets Michelle at EVO restaurant. And Rick is like, how does she know everybody? And then Michelle invites him to an event. But she did all the forms of communication of how she invited him. And it's just a story. It will never say this. It'll like one system may just be one sentence in the book that you never even knew. And I will be teaching this 7 levels. We'll do a book club once I finish with MRA book club. So that's what I'm a certified trainer for, is around the 7 level stuff. But it's not boring. And the sequel to the story is The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents is sequel 2 with the story. So we talked about the who. What are you bringing? I told you you're bringing a notebook. You're bringing an item of value, which could be a book. Like in my car, I always have like 7 levels of communication book. I have MREA, the one thing, because those are probably items of values that I can use for others. I also have, which I'm so sad. Yeah, I was actually really sad because I just did that mega open house and I don't have any more gifts. So I'll just have to pass around my card, which are more of my real estate agent cards. You just pass one and put it around. But usually I have my business card inside an eyeglass phone screen cleaner, or I have like hand sanitizers, again, all branded pink and teal, like a flamingo. I'm giving them something. It could be a pen it doesn't matter. So that's the kind of stuff you're bringing. If you have an item of value, a business card, you can have in the 7 levels book, there's also another system on how to create a list of what you do for a living. I forgot what it's called. Oh, spectrum of solutions. That's what it's called. So what that means is, like, do some people know that you can do commercial? Do people know that you will sell a trailer park and a $3 million house? You know, do people know what services you offer? Do they know that you're like an Angie's List? So a spectrum of solutions is just a piece of paper, or you can turn it into a postcard of all the services you give. Kind of like the back of my card where it has my credentials, and only a KW agent would understand what those things mean. Nobody else would understand what that means. So it's not the card that I use for clients. That's my card to help get referrals, because it shows the area I work in, link to my social media, and my credentials for referrals. Again, that's based on the disc, almost, in a way. When are you going? I do Thursdays as networking stack. You can pick any day. I just know that if you ask me 3 weeks from now if I could teach a class on a Thursday, I could tell you I pretty much know where I'm supposed to be on Thursday and see if I had anybody booked on the calendar already. Where you're going to pick the place that is the clientele you want to attract. Why is obviously why I'm here, turning relationships into referrals. And how. When I first started this, it was basically the beginning of my career. And I was broke. I don't care what any of y'all say. I was broke. I split my money so many ways that I didn't have anything left over. So what I would do is I picked my venue and I would eat a big lunch, and then I would go work out of there anytime after I got done previewing homes, because let's be honest, I didn't have any appointments really. So I just previewed 10 homes a day, like they tell you to do in Ignite. And now in this market, we don't have 10 homes a day yet. Could you go to 10 open houses in a weekend? Absolutely. And then I would go to the restaurant and I would just work out of the restaurant, and I would sit at the bar and I would get to know the bartenders, and I would get to know if it was a coffee shop, don't pick Starbucks, please. Pick like a mom and pop, like local love, I believe in. Like, don't pick the big corporations. Pick the places that can give more local love. The small business owners. The best advice I can tell you is when you're at that bar, pay attention to, one, your body language, being super open and like shoulders back and kind of happy. It'd be nice if you were approachable. Take note of the people's names that you meet, like the hostess, because when you repeat somebody's name, they're more likely to remember yours. So if the hostess name is Stephanie, then I'm gonna write down on my phone really quick. Okay, I met yellow hostess Stephanie, blonde hair, short, really pretty. And then I'm gonna get to know the bartender just by sitting there. And because I would eat a big lunch, I would just order like an appetizer or a water, sometimes a cocktail, depending on what time it was. And whatever my bill is, I'm tipping 50%. If my bill is $15, they're getting 30. Take note of the time of day that you go, because if you do this consistently for at least 2 times a week for 4 weeks, you will have a home court in a month. You will be able to walk in and people will remember your name, mostly because you're a great tipper. And because you had good conversation, or they saw you bringing people in. Then I started to teach the bartenders and the staff on how to help me for referrals. And I taught them to lead generate for me. It's like working for me. I just think it's working smarter and not harder. I don't want to sit and cold call all day. It's just not my thing. I don't want to call them.
So let me ask you, on Thursdays, you're having the lunch, you're actually in the table, waiting for Tracy for lunch. So when are you sitting at that bar on the computer?
Whenever I don't have appointments. Literally whenever.
That's your office.
Yeah, that's my office. And I'm very present in my office too. And because I've already set up these home courts, I'm very present at those offices. I'm very present there.
So where would you sit if the bar was like this?
I want to sit never with my back to the front door. I need to see the front door. I need the least amount of traffic. My back needs to be turned towards. You know what I mean? I do sometimes love sitting next to, when I was needing to set this up, sitting next to the service bar area, because that's where the most traffic is for the staff. You know? And you'd be surprised. It's pretty mind blowing how like some of the managers will come over and be like, hey, can you look up my house real quick? Hey, can you like tell me what its value is? Hey, I saw a sign in the yard the other day. And then it's like, I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. Oh, I can give you a range, but when can I come up for like 10, 15 minutes? You don't even have to sell. I can just give you a value so you know what it is. I can set you up in a neighborhood update. Like, establishes a relationship. And I get a lot of people that are like, that would be strangers and they'll just walk over and be like, what are you doing over here? Like, you're just hustling. I see you all the time and you're always on your computer. And sometimes when I'm at YOLO, they'll have a band playing and sometimes a DJ and it's loud and there's people everywhere and I'm just getting my stuff done. That's not the place I'm going to at that time when I have phone calls to be making and you negotiate and whatever. However, if I have follow-up work to do or recatering my stupid smart plans to disc profiles, that's so fascinating. That I wish I could just leverage to somebody, although they're not going to do it the same way. So I just have to do it once and once only, and it's done. And I'm just working away. And some will be like, there's no way that you're, one guy the other day, he was like, there's no way that you're getting stuff done with all of this around. And I was like, you want to bet? I was like, I'm a multitasker, which they say multitasking is a lie, but I didn't tell him that. And he ended up just taking out a loan for $250 million for this LED hat sports business, something to something. I have a lunch with him next week.
So wait, so you're having lunch and you come back, but I do like when the band is playing, is this like 7 o'clock at night you're there?
Sometimes. I mean, I'm single with no kids, so yeah, I can do whatever I want. That's different. So, and if I did have kids and whatnot, I would just structure my days to be set up around the lunch times. Like typically your staff is going to be the same for lunch or the same for dinner. And then they change between 3 and 4. They switch from lunch to dinner shift. It's always pretty much the same people working. So just be consistent when you're building a home court that you go the same day of week at the same time. Because 9 out of 10 times it's the same time for the staff. Does that make sense? So we have 5 minutes left. I'm usually really good about starting on time and ending on time. Oh, one more, your last page. And then I would love to hear back your feedback and also any questions. Is 7 steps to a power note. Who would have thought that there would be 7 steps to a power note on how you can write a power note, a love note? I don't know what order they're in. I can just give you some tips. Again, this is from 7 levels. Always writing in blue ink or pink if you're a flamingo. And you're going to write from left to right at a slanted right hook up, which I kind of already did there. Hi, how are you? Why? Slant. From left to right. And it's a power of positive projection. That's what the master said. So I just listened to whatever the master told me to do. Okay. I don't know where the psychology comes from behind that. Pretty sure it's in there. I just do what they told me to do. Unbranded cards. Does your mom send you a card with mom logo on it? That it's from mom? So why do we send cards with KW on it? Way less personable. It's like a business, right? Naturally mine have a flamingo on it. So it's subliminal. So that's where it goes back to create your brand or just be consistent. Like this is Naples, palm trees, like whatever it is. And by the way, if you guys see any flamingo cards while you're out, I'm always looking and I will reimburse you to send them to me.
We have a flamingo on, but does it say anything about?
Nothing about real estate.
Right, it's like grass up in the secret.
Yeah, it has a mini horse on it.
Right.
Tara has this message, so while I can walk into the store and see a flamingo and not think of her. Like,
Right.
if I see a flamingo in their shop, it's the first thing I I've seen a garage with a flamingo on it in Naples Park, and I think I sent it to them.
You're going to notice it will happen to all of you. And I don't, it makes my day sincerely when I get messages or texts or DMs or whatever, and you're like, hey, I saw this and thought of you. And that's how I've been selling houses when I say off of flamingos. It's because of that. And then it turns into a conversation of, hey, by the way, how are you? How's business? And that's why we started this conversation with building a brand about who you are. And what I just did subliminally, but even though she just gave it away, is I put it on your RAS, your reticular activating system, that when you see a flamingo, you'll think of me. It's just going to happen, I promise. I can't even help it. So I literally sell houses off flamingos, so it's fun. So some of the other things to the power note is writing from left to right, ideally in blue, and taking out the words I, me, my, and make it about them. Be specific in you're welcome. Be specific in your praise, identify, acknowledge a characteristic, a talent, like, wow, it was amazing to see how much of a great mother you are. Don't be like, I really thought you are a great mom. Take the I's, me's, and my's out of it. It's actually really a lot harder to do. I still have to always write it separately and then go back and perfect it. It's not easy to do. That's just some steps. So, because when you're done with your home court advantage that we went over, Tracy, Rachel, and Sean are all going to get a power note from me. And let's say that Sean or Tracy or both came from my Facebook post looking for a great divorce attorney. That person who tagged them will also get a thank you note.
So then if you like don't have a trust, do these people are delivering them or
I'm a stalker.
you figure it out?
Or I just ask them.
You'll ask them at that luncheon for the, or when you call them.
Either one. Sometimes in their business card, they usually have it 9 out of 10 times. Or I'll ask them, especially if I think they're renting. And they're not going to be on the tax records. Because can you go to tax records and find anybody? Yes.
What about the PS?
Power is in the PS. Your PS is your call to action. That is where I am asking, please call or text me when you get this phone number. Mhm. Yeah. Well, I want them to call me.
You know, say, Tara, you asked me to call you.
I did. I just want to follow up from our conversation. When you said that you were looking for that great receptionist, how is it going?
I haven't found her yet, but I really appreciate your help.
You are more than welcome. So is there anything else I can do to help you find a great one? Where have you posted it?
Just, you know, my Facebook group and, you know, my church and just places like that. But if you can think of any other places, I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And then if I wanted to, I'd probably dig, just thinking, I might even dig on the church thing because I'm looking for some more spirituality. So it depends on where I'm at in my life at that moment, and ask them more about their church and where they're going and why they like it. Yeah. Well, only because at this moment in my life, that's where I'm at. And I'm actually exploring churches. So that would be where I'd probably end up going with that conversation.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably know more about their beliefs a little bit more. Just depends on where I'm at. It's just a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's a law of reciprocation. Typically, when you ask somebody a question about themselves, like how's business, they're more likely to turn around and ask you how business is too. And I finished right on time. Yay. Tell me what you heard so I know that this was a pleasure and I drove here for the right reasons. What was your favorite thing that you heard and or want to take away from this? Yeah. And you can do it. It could be breakfast. It could be coffee. It could be happy hour. It could be whatever. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And just start going there. I'm telling you, 2 times a week for 4 weeks, tip big or eat small, whatever it is. I don't know your financial situation. So, and get to remember their names, put their names in your phones. find something about them.
That is my biggest job. I definitely, doing that and building a relationship, and setting somebody for lunch once a week, if it's a vendor, if it's someone I want to get to know, and
And I love it too, because it's like, it's not so much that these are all sellers and buyers and I'm calling the expireds and the FISBOs for this that I'm having taken to lunch. This is about me genuinely looking to serve more clients and help sell the lifestyles that we sell. So when the need comes up and someone needs them, I have them and I can say that I met them, you know? So, and so like, I'm sincere in my love for learning more about them and connecting them with the right people. And I would think that if you're in real estate and you're with KW especially, that would probably be something that you can resonate with, that we truly do care. And if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want.
When I was out, I love them, and when I told my coach, when you mentioned ETP, I was like, crap, that is where I've been for the past year and a half, sitting in entrepreneurial. And I'm like, I totally fell off of purposeful, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta get back to it. So, thank you for reminding me.
You are welcome. Awesome. I'm so glad. Thank you for having me. You are welcome so much.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure. It's the easiest drive. Oh, you guys are all, if you're on Zoom still, I'd love to know what your chat is. You want to take yourself off of mute. Can't see. If not, I'm just going to hang up on you.
Leaving now.